Stay informed. Information is key. Funny story real quick. Lake Apacon again. I'm out on it. I'm fishing a bass fishing tournament with Bergen Bassmasters. We're boat number 1 out of 100 boats. We take off. We're fishing all over Lake Apacon. And my buddy knew 3 days before the tournament that I'm fishing in, there was a tournament there. There's a tournament there every day of the week, especially in the summer. And what happened was, where that tournament had its weigh-in was right in the cove that we launched out of. We caught 0 fish, and it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 o'clock we have to be back for a weigh-in. He goes, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna go back to the weigh-in stage, fish right where they're legally gonna tell us that we can fish, back off about 10 feet, and we're gonna try to catch fish in that cove. Everybody went out and covered the whole lake. We saw boats zooming around all day. All the bass we caught were in the cove that they let them go the day before. we didn't even have to go anywhere. We blasted off that spot, but it was that local knowledge of knowing that there was a tournament there. That's where they dropped the bass into the water. We fished it, and we at least placed, 7th. It wasn't the greatest finish, but at least we, finished. And we had fish. So that's what I say about local knowledge. If you're fishing a body of water, know if they had a drawdown. They're fixing a dam. Water levels are going to be down. There's fishing tournaments there. If there's a fishing tournament there, you're looking to have a nice day, fishing peace and quiet, you're not going to have it there. So you might need to change your plans a little bit. Or if a fishing tournament ended the day before you're getting there, you might have to work a little harder to catch these fish. Since, other guys were there, they were fishing the shoreline pretty hard. And like I say, it's going to dictate how you're going to fish. If it was pounded out hard 3-4 days before you got there, you might have to fish a little quicker. You might have to cover different water and have a different approach. Fishing? You guys frog fish? Have you ever frog fished? Okay, this is one of my favorite things. And what I think a kayak, one of the things that a kayak excels in that the $40,000 boats don't. You can get into anything with a kayak. The thickest slop, the heaviest weeds, and you can float in about a foot of water. That guy out there with his nitro, he can't. Already you have the upper hand. You can get into some awesome, awesome frog fishing opportunities where the pressure is not even there. Where those guys in the bass boats are watching you like, I wish I was there. Because they're not in your kayak. You could pull all the way into this, and you can work it more effectively and catch fish that had no pressure. And I've caught more big bass by fishing frogs in lily pads than out on probably any other part of the lake. And this is a River 2C. The Bullywa has a popper front, like I said, for that top water action. Great if you get into a section like this. What you would do in there is when the frog gets in there, you pop it a little bit. You fish it like a popper. But why you won't throw a popper in there is because it's going to get hung up. The trebles are going to get hung up in the weeds, and it's going to lead to a bunch of problems. The hooks in a frog totally won't get hung up on anything. Pass them around, just be careful. And with that frog, when you tie that on, I like to fling it right out. If you hit the shoreline, even better. It's going to look more real. I've cast it up onto the shoreline, scurried the frog into the water, and the bass bite right where the water meets the land. You wouldn't even believe a bass was sitting there. And these are like 3-4 pound fish that are just sitting there waiting for a frog to fall into the water. And again, using methods of power fishing, kind of picture your cast. So you got the left side of your boat to the right side, and you're going to cast that frog out. I'm not blessing you, I promise. So you cast them out, and you move along. You'll see actually lines on top of the weeds of where your frog went. So you'll move along. A target that I like to use to know if anybody else caught a fish in there, you'll see a blow-up hole. And what I mean by a blow-up hole, you'll see a little round surface already in those weeds where somebody pulled a fish out of. If I see that, I won't focus too much on that spot because I know somebody just really caught a fish in there. But frog fishing, cover a lot of this, and you can catch big fish. So if you're out on, you know, the water, and you're frog fishing, you know that you're going to catch a decent fish. I've never caught a small bass when I fished in like the lily pads. Oh, they sell them at Dick's. They're like under $10. Another good thing that I like to do with my frogs is I put some scent on them. It's an oil-based scent. So what does oil do to the bait? It makes it slide better, and it slides right over those lily pads a lot easier. Also, if it gets into one of those little open areas, it'll sit there and that scent kind of just swirls in the water under it. Kind of, I think, incites the bass a little bit to bite. But I love this color. I think it's like the sexy frog, they call it. You know, it's all these sexy this, sexy that. I mean, if I was a bass, I don't know.
The zoom on the ponytail.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, and I've fished Spro in the past, but I really like how soft the River 2C frogs are. I mean, just by pressing that down, those hooks are exposed. And when you're fishing a frog, you don't want the plastic to be too solid, because when that bass nibbles or doesn't bite it as hard as it should, you're not going to get a good hook set. So, River 2C Bullywas, they're available at Dick's. Any other questions about fishing lily pad fields or getting your kayak in?
I don't see any grapple or power lures, like the torpedo ones.
All right.
I've had quite much success with those. Fishing around docks and stuff like that. I don't see any in the tackle box.
I'm not sponsored by that company.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
So
I kind of figured that.
I actually have them on, you know, my rods home. No, they're, you know, good baits. I mean, jerk baits, Rapala makes them, Storm makes them. I mean, all these different companies makes them. I mean, I just so happen to get to deal with River 2C. So, like I'm not bashing. They're all great baits. You might like Rapala. I might like this one. You know, you might like whiskey. I might like wine. You know. So I mean, it's whatever you know really like, and you know, they're all good quality. Like this though, when it comes to plastics and it comes to your, you know, frogs, there's other companies out there too. Trying to think of another good frog, a Snag Proof. That has a pretty nice plastic also. But for $8, I guarantee you pick one of these up. This, you know, you got a little bit to wait, probably June. You get into some pads like this. You can even fish them from the shoreline. You don't even have to go on your kayaks if you don't want. Find a lake that's crowded with weeds like this and throw a frog. And I'll give you my, you know, go on richiemoschella.com and be like, Richie, you send me your picture. I'll put you on TV. You're going to catch a good bass. Okay, this is the end of it. If you have any questions about anything we talked about, or if you have a personal thing about fishing that you want to talk about, we definitely can cover that.
What about just rod reel types? You got bait casting reel, you got spinning. What's better?
Well, I like when I'm fishing my plastics, like worms and stuff, I like to use it on a spinning reel. Right? You know, you keep tension on it. Do you feel that all the way into the butt?
Yep.
That's the difference between spending $30 on a fishing rod. This one retails for about $60 to $70. You want to feel what your bait's doing. If you don't feel what that bait is doing inside the water, you already have a strike